Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Teen Skin event. Hope you're all having a beautiful Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us. Trying something a little bit different today with a new streaming provider, so this is exciting. We will get straight into it. Sharon and I are very excited to bring this event to you again, or if you are new here, to learn all about teen skincare, what happens if you're a teenager and you're watching, that's amazing, or if you're a parent of a teenager, I guess, just how to know how to help your teens take care of their skin in the best way possible, and also to try and help them to navigate the changes that their skin will probably go through. So we will get started. We'll just introduce ourselves very quickly, and then we're going to share a PowerPoint presentation with you to take you through a bit of information. So my name is Lili Nicholas. I'm an independent consultant with Arbonne, and my background is in the beauty and skin industry for the last 10 years. And I also have a bit of a vested interest in this subject. I had a lot of issues with my skin when I was a teenager. I had to go on medication for my skin, and it was, a very long road to kind of, getting my skin healthy and functioning really well. So yes, very close to my heart, this subject. And Sharon as well, she also has teenagers, two beautiful girls who have had struggles with their skin as well. So I'll let you introduce yourself quickly, Sharon, and then we will get started.
Great, thanks Lily. So hi everyone. So my name's Sharon Gleeson. I'm an independent consultant and executive regional vice president with Arbonne. But I guess, as Lily said, my interest in this is because I've got two girls. One, my eldest, when she started having problems with her skin, because I didn't have problems when I was growing up, I was a little bit lost as to what to do, and we tried all sorts of different things, different products, different antibiotic creams and different, medications and so on. And it was really difficult trying to navigate that path. But I have actually found that, my younger daughter hasn't had, such severe problems. We've actually been able to get on top of it just with a really good, skincare routine, knowing to wash your face morning and night, and a lot of the tips that Lily will share, and have actually been able to help a lot of other people with their teens as well. So again, it's something that I'm passionate about because it's probably a subject that most people never are taught. We're not really taught how to look after our skin and what to do. So we just really love sharing it and helping educate other people, because we all know what it's like. If our skin isn't looking great, it can really affect our confidence. And I know that for me, with my girls, that was a really big thing. And I guess, the teen years are hard enough without having to struggle with that. So if we can share some tips today that will help you in helping your teens or help your teens, then, we're really excited to be able to do that. So I'll hand back to Lily.
Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, 100%. I just have those images of me piling on the makeup when I was 16. It wasn't a good time. So if you're watching this and you're struggling with your skin, don't stress. We will, share some good information with you. Okay, so let's start the presentation, please, Sharon.
Awesome. So we're up.
Thank you. Okay, so like we talked about, your teenage years are hard enough as it is, and it can really affect your confidence when your skin changes quite quickly, and when you're not really sure what to do with it. So we're just going to share with you today what you need to know about your skin, and so you can understand what's happening with it, and how to take care of it as well. So firstly, let's just quickly talk about what affects our skin. Our skin is our body's largest organ, and there is so many different factors that affect what happens on our skin. Now, our teen years is when our hormones start to change, and we can start to experience, we may have gone from having just, beautiful, perfect skin to experiencing things like oiliness, pimples, breakouts, of course, and blackheads, and even redness. Now, so many factors, like we said, affect our skin. So that can be anything from our diet, our stress levels, which, is obviously a big thing when we're a teenager at school, our genetics, the environment that we're in, things like the pollution around us, the climate that we live in, and also, of course, what we're using on our skin and the products that we're putting on there. So why is it so important to look after our skin? Well, the things that we experience now on our skin when we're a teenager, and how you look after it now is actually going to affect how your skin looks and feels when you're older as well. So if you don't look after your skin when you're young and you do have problem skin or even acne, then it will unfortunately result in you probably having some sort of scarring and also premature aging, which isn't something that you really think about when you're a teenager, obviously, but it is something that having problem skin and having acne can really result in quite quickly. And it can also even affect your health because, of course, our skin is an organ of the body as well. And then, of course, it can really affect our confidence and the cost of treatments later on in life, you know, for that scarring and for that sort of breakdown of the skin that may have happened when you're a teenager can be really, really expensive. So if you can learn how to look after your skin when you're young, it's really going to serve you for the future as well. So let's just briefly talk about skin types and skin conditions, which are different things. So there's basically 5 skin types, and this is your genetic sort of skin makeup that you're born with. So they are normal, dry, oily, combination, and sensitive. Now, often you can tell your skin type by the amount of oil flow that your skin has and just the general feeling that your skin has when you are looking after it. But of course, you know, that can be a little bit tricky if we're not using the right products, and that might be causing us to have different skin conditions. So skin conditions are things like breakouts and acne, sensitization or having sensitized skin, dehydration, and then inflammatory things like eczema or dermatitis and rosacea. And so any of the skin types can experience these skin conditions. So it can be really quite confusing to figure out what your skin type is, especially when you're young and things are changing in your skin. So what exactly happens when we're a teenager? So once we hit puberty, testosterone and estrogen start to be produced in our body, and our testosterone levels increase in both boys and girls. And this basically causes our skin to produce more oil, and the oil is thicker, it starts to become a thicker consistency. And then when that oil mixes with the dead skin cells that are laying on the top of our skin, it can basically start to clog up our pores, and that then produces congestion, or technically they're called comedones. So that's your blackheads and whiteheads. Now, they're actually the same thing. They're both comedones, but blackheads have a sort of open top to the pore, and then whiteheads are closed. So you might, you can obviously usually tell when you have a blackhead, but a whitehead is when you have a congested pore and you have a little bump, but you don't have a black top to it. So it's just a white little lump on the skin. And it's very, very common to start to experience this when we hit puberty. Now, then when bacteria can get into those pores, and if that inside that pore there's no oxygen, then it really just is a breeding ground for bacteria. And that's when you basically get a pimple or a pustule, so a pussy pimple. Now, we're going to talk about inflammatory acne. So like we just talked about, congestion and blackheads and whiteheads are pretty normal because we've got that increased oil flow and it's kind of mixing with the skin cells. But then inflammatory acne is, it's actually a genetic condition of the skin. So if either of your parents had acne when they were teenagers, then unfortunately the chances are that, one of their children, if not multiple, will probably get acne as well. And the difference between just, normal teenage skin and inflammatory acne is that, on top of the oiliness and some blackheads and whiteheads and maybe a few breakouts here and there, you may actually be getting a lot of inflammation, a lot of redness, and you might even be experiencing those deep sore pimples. Now, this could be just in 1 or 2 areas on your face, or it might even be all over, and it can even travel down to your chest, neck, and your back. Now, it is really important to treat inflammatory acne because this is the type of skin condition that can cause that long-term scarring and that premature aging of the skin. And that is because you're having long-term inflammation in the skin tissue, and that's why our collagen elastin fibers break down a lot quicker and you get that premature aging. Now, there are 4 grades of acne. So they basically vary from, just kind of mild breakouts all the way through to your cystic acne. So that's where you're having, very deep follicles that are very inflamed under the skin, and that can really cause a lot of scarring. And when you see that sort of ice pick or that pitted scarring, that's usually from that sort of grade 3 or grade 4 acne. So these are really the grades that you really need to try and get on top of, and unfortunately those are the grades that often do need to be might need to be medicated because you want to get on top of that as quickly as possible. So we're just going to talk about some basic ways that we need to look after our skin once we start to experience some changes in it at puberty. And the first step is, of course, cleansing and keeping our skin clean. So there is a bit of a fine line. We need to keep our skin clean, but we also don't want to overstimulate it. Now, a common mistake when we start to get oiliness and breakouts, a common mistake is to use really harsh products on that because we're wanting to reduce that oil, but really it can be counterproductive to use products that are too harsh. So usually using a gentle cleanser morning and night is enough to keep your skin clean. Now, it is important to cleanse in the morning as well because overnight our we're lying on a pillow and we've got lovely dead skin cells and bacteria that can build up on there. So cleansing our skin in the morning is really important too, because again, our skin is actually a detoxification organ. So we've got toxins coming out of our body through our skin, through our sweat and the oil that our skin produces. So we need to be cleansing that off in the morning as well. Our next step is to do some exfoliation. So again, there is a fine line between over-exfoliating and over-stimulating the skin, but exfoliation is really important because it basically helps to keep the dead skin cells that are on the surface of the skin to a minimum and also to help to unblock the pores. So there's an ingredient called salicylic acid, which is particularly good for, for this stage in your life and for your skin as it's oilier, because it not only helps to remove those dead skin cells, but it also acts to clean out the inside of the pores and reduce that oil flow as well. We can also do like a detox our skin or mask. So often we can use a clay mask. This is really good for clays actually draw out oils from the skin and reduce that oil flow. So a good quality one is going to be able to draw out excess oils without damaging your skin's barrier. Next, we want to make sure that we're protecting our skin. So we need to be moisturizing and hydrating our skin because although we might feel extra oily at this time and we might not feel like we want to put a moisturizer on, if we don't replace the moisture and protect our barrier in our skin, then our skin's actually going to overproduce oil to compensate for that. Now, we can use oil-free type products, so lightweight moisturizers, and that way we can hydrate the skin without adding extra oils. And obviously there is moisturizers that are specifically designed for oilier skin types or, when we're having this changes in our skin. And they basically help to have ingredients in them that help to control our oil flow and also calm any inflammation and redness that we might be experiencing too. And then it's really important also to protect our skin with sunscreen during the day. So the sun damages and ages our skin more than anything else. And I know it always feels nicer. Your skin feels like it looks clearer when you have a tan, but it really unfortunately means that our skin is slowly getting damaged by the sun if we do sort of get a strong tan, and we also might burn. And this is just going to produce more problems, unfortunately. Okay, so let's talk about what we're then putting on our skin after, we've looked after our skin with skincare. So it's very natural, obviously, to want to cover up when we are experiencing breakouts. But unfortunately, a lot of cheap makeup can contain either toxic chemicals that can irritate the skin, things like fragrances and perfumes. And then there's also ingredients that can block the pores as well. So that's things like mineral oil, animal products, talc, and often, unfortunately, cheap makeup products contain some of these ingredients. Another thing that we can make sure that we're doing is washing any of our makeup brushes. If we're using brushes, make sure that we're washing them really regularly, and also avoid kind of using those multi-use sponges or even face washes in the shower, because of course, those things are usually staying quite damp, and of course, bacteria can really breed in that environment. So unless you want to use a brand new one every time, then that's okay. But yeah, maybe just steer clear of those multi-use type sponges. Now we can basically, yes, we want to cover up, but it is always nice to, I guess, let our skin kind of have as little product on it as possible. And so, just using something really simple like a CC cream or a light foundation. And then if we want to reduce any oiliness on the surface of the skin, we can use a light powder to help to set that and to reduce that oil flow. And also a primer can help your makeup to last longer when you do have that oiliness happening on your skin. So this is a really important part of looking after your skin, and that is our lifestyle and our diet. Now, our gut health is really, really connected to our skin and also to our hormones. So the healthier our diet, basically the better our skin is going to be. Now, the main things to be conscious of in your diet, and this is something that I really experienced going through my skin issues and through acne, is I really noticed a big correlation with dairy and sugar as well. So if I had a high dairy or sugar intake in my diet, it would often make my skin worse and just more inflamed. So that's something to be mindful of. You might want to try and cut back on those things if you are experiencing skin issues. Now, our gut has good and bad bacteria, and if those levels sort of get out of whack, unfortunately, that can affect our skin quite a lot as well. So increasing the good bacteria in our gut can really help. Now, we can do this in a couple of different ways. So eating lots of fruits and veggies. Fiber actually feeds our gut microbiome and that bacteria and keeps it healthy. And then we can also supplement with specific things that are great for our skin. So things like zinc, things like a good quality greens powder, which can obviously increase your fruit and veggie intake for the day, and also a pre and probiotic to help with that bacteria balance too. And then just a few other kind of lifestyle tips. We can try and avoid touching your face. I know it's very tempting to squeeze and pick when you have, congestion and breakouts, but if you can refrain from that as much as possible, your skin will definitely thank you for it. Unfortunately, when we squeeze our pimples, often the follicle and the bacteria that's in the pore underneath can actually burst, and that's often why have you ever squeezed a pimple and then the next day or a couple of days later you've got a bigger pimple right next to it, and that's why. It's because that bacteria has actually spread under the surface of the skin. So just keep that in mind next time you feel like squeezing. Changing our pillowcase every night is something as well that we can do. Obviously, we have those skin cells and that bacteria that can build up there. And also be aware of how much your hair is touching your face. And if we put products in our hair as well, they can really affect our skin too. And also our phones as well. If we're, putting them up to our ear, there is a lot of bacteria on there too. So that's something to be mindful of as well. Now, we're just going to very briefly run through some of Arbonne's products that can really help with, when your skin is going through these changes and when you do have problem skin. So we have 3 different ranges that are great when you're experiencing this. So that's our Super Calm range, our Prep Work range, and then our Clear Future range. So I'll just take you through the differences just very briefly. So the Super Calm range is obviously in the name. It is really amazing for helping to reduce inflammation and reduce redness. Our Prep Work range, so if sort of redness and inflammation is mostly the problem that you're getting, then that's a great line to try. The Prep Work range is perfect for teens and young adults that have, just a few issues with their skin. So maybe a bit of congestion, a few breakouts here and there, and you're really just wanting a really good basic range to keep your skin clean and moisturized and protected from the sun. And then our Clear Future range is specifically designed for acne-prone and active acne skin conditions. And the main ingredient in this range is salicylic acid combined with lots of other botanicals that help to reduce oil flow, to calm the skin, and to also remove bacteria from the skin as well. And then we also have a beautiful clay mask. It's called our Rescue and Renew Detox Mask. And that one is beautiful for, like we talked about before, reducing oil flow and drawing out oil from the pores as well. So that is our presentation. I think Sharon was just going to share a little bit as well about, I guess, did you want to share a little bit about your experience, Sharon, with like medicating and that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Lily. And I guess that was one of the things that I didn't realise was that some acne can actually be treated with products, some with antibiotic creams or a course of antibiotics, but some actually is genetic. So it doesn't matter what products you use, what other creams and things that you try and put on, you actually do need to go to a dermatologist and actually have prescribed medication. And, that was the point that we got to with my daughter. And I guess, it is really good to actually get onto it quite quickly to, as Lily said, to really try and reduce the scarring. I didn't know that there was genetic acne where basically your pores are just producing more oil, and the only way to really get that under control is actually through medication. I actually really regret that I didn't do that sooner with my daughter. Thankfully, she doesn't have scarring. She's got a little bit of hyperpigmentation on her chest. But yeah, so I would just sort of say, if your teen is having problems, try some of the simple things first. Because as I said, like a lot of people, we have been able to really help with, a good skincare routine. Even when I bought products for my younger daughter, I bought her a cleanser and moisturizer when it was sort of time for her to start using some of that sort of thing. And she actually said to me one night, "Mum, can you show me how to clean my face?" And I thought, oh, that's pretty basic. You just sort of assume that there's things that kids are going to know. So it is really important, mums, just to show your kids how to wash their face. Because if they're just kind of going like this, and not really getting around into the actual areas that they need to, they could be missing the important parts of, what could help their skin to actually improve. So show your kids how to actually use the products. I think the other tendency is that, if their skin is oily, they often don't want to use moisturizer. And that was the other thing for me, was understanding that, sometimes our skin, as Lily said, it's trying to produce its own sebum and hydrate itself if we're not giving it that moisture. And sometimes that oiliness will actually balance out if we're hydrating our skin. My girls both swim. They were in the chlorine and they'd go to school straight from swimming. And as soon as we started to actually, put in their bag a cleanser and a moisturizer, and they'd wash the chlorine off and put a moisturizer on, it's amazing the difference it made to their skin. Because, when you've got chlorine sitting on your skin all day, your skin's dry, it needs more hydration, and it will produce its own sebum, to hydrate itself. So that's another tip, if your kids are swimming and so on. The other thing was even, kids will get up in the morning and think, well, I don't need to wash my face, I've just been sleeping. But again, as Lily said, 65% of our skin is repairing itself overnight. It's shedding dead skin cells and oils. So again, sometimes just little changes like that, washing their face morning and night, can make such a massive difference. And that thing about, sponges and face washes and things, I'd find that my girls would have a face wash, airing my dirty laundry here, face washer on the floor in the shower, and they'd use it. So, I just got rid of all the face washers, the disposable, those little reusable pads, I'd use them over and again. So I've just gotten rid of all of that stuff, and they just use their hands to wash their face. So, there's some of the things, some of the little tips that, as a mum, or for other mums out there, they might seem like really little simple things, but they can actually make a really big difference. So they're just some of my experiences. I guess the other thing too, just on what Lili was saying with makeup, I've seen a lot of kids who, that's their way of actually covering up and hiding and feeling better about themselves. And again, this was something that I didn't realise, particularly a lot of makeups, they do contain mineral oils and petrolatum, which is, you sort of think, mineral oil, that's great, but it actually really clogs the pores. It's kind of like putting liquid cling wrap on your face. And again, your skin can't breathe, it will overproduce sebum and, cause that oiliness, which when mixed with the makeup causes breakouts. So again, really just even looking at the ingredients, if they are going to use makeup, choosing a makeup that doesn't have all those sorts of toxic things in them, one, that aren't good for the functioning of our skin, but also, they're not great for our skin because, 60% of what we're putting onto our skin is absorbed into our bloodstream, and there are a lot of toxic chemicals, particularly some of those quite harsh acne treatments that, they bleach your towels. So imagine what they're doing, to your skin and your body. And, we're seeing a lot more increases in things like, hormone imbalances, infertility in men and women, cancer. Like, there's lots of side effects from kids and people using products that contain toxic chemicals. So I guess, choosing products that don't contain those things that are harmful to them inside is another really good reason to actually search out and really understand what's in the products that you're using. 5.5 years ago, I had no idea. I just assumed that what I was buying, at the supermarket or the department store or even the beautician was safe, and was pretty horrified to learn, what chemicals are, contained in all of those products. So if that is something that you'd like to know more about, some people are getting onto that topic and, starting to know more about what's in their personal care products and some of the harmful side effects. But if that's something that you're not aware of, we're really passionate about educating and just helping people to learn how to read labels, what to look out for in the products that you're using. So if that's something that you're interested in, just flick us a little note in the chat or reach out to Lili or myself, and we can send you a little flyer that talks about the Dirty Dozen, so the top 12 ingredients that you really want to try and avoid in your skincare products. As I said, not just for the functioning of your skin, but also to help make sure that those products that you're putting on your skin aren't causing harmful effects on the inside as well. So that'd be my tips. Lili?
Yeah, definitely. And I think just like for most teenagers, like you do just really need to keep it simple. Like if you've got boys that, have bad skin, they're like, you've got to keep it as simple as possible. So, it is really important to choose the right products and to, have that balance of, making sure that their skin is clean, getting a bit of exfoliation in, but also like protecting and hydrating their skin to the proper degree can make a huge difference. But it needs to be easy and it needs to be simple. Otherwise, they're just going to fall out of that habit and they're not going to do it. I think most people are, a lot more people are aware of the role that our gut has in our skin as well. But I really wish that I knew, what I do now back when I was 16. Not that, I had a bad diet, but I definitely could have, worked on my gut health back then. And in fact, that's been what has made the biggest difference, as an adult and suffering with adult acne after coming off the pill, working on my gut health has really made a huge difference as well. So yeah, just a couple of extra tips, I guess.
Absolutely. No, definitely. The one thing that I always say when mums are looking for help for their kids is, are they actually committed to doing it? Like, do they want the result? Because I think whether it's boys or girls, when they get to that point where they're not happy with how their skin is and they want to do something about it, that's when they're ready to introduce products. One thing that's actually really good for boys is in the Clear Future range, there's some pads. And I know my cousin Sonny was at boarding school, and that was a lifesaver for him because he could sit in his dorm and he could, even if that was all he was doing, as Lili said, he's not going to, go down to the toilets with his, little range of skincare. That's very uncool. But these pads he could just use in his room, and it was just enough to kind of, help get him through. So, yeah, I think it is that decision that I want something more, and then they're ready for your help and to actually, start introducing some tips and things that will actually help them to improve their skin.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, just like one last thing as well, like when I used to work in, different skin clinics and salons, there would be quite a few mums that would come and bring their teenagers in. And yes, like going and having salon grade treatments is great to just kind of, I guess, maintain and keep that dead skin cell, but have a really proper exfoliation and all of that kind of thing. But it is super important to make sure that they're doing a daily routine as well, because that's what's going to make the biggest difference, not going for a treatment every month. It really needs to come down to what they're using every day, and also what they're if they're using a few great products at home, but then they're popping on really thick makeup that's sitting on their pores all day, it's just counterintuitive. So yeah, it's really important to look at both. To look at all three, to look at their skincare routine, the makeup that they're using, and their gut health as well. But yeah, it is definitely possible to just I guess keep their skin healthy throughout their teen years, stop them from kind of developing big issues, and yeah, have their skin looking as good as possible as they get older.
Absolutely. So if you do have any questions, please either go back to the person who invited you to this call, or Lily's very happy to do a 15-minute consult where she can chat to you about your teen skin, or answer any questions that you've got. The other really good thing too is Arbonne, it's not sold in department stores, and one of the things that I really love about the company is they actually offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on their products, which for me is awesome. It really means that they're happy to stand behind their products. So, if you did decide that you wanted to try something, Lili can actually make some really good recommendations about what you could use. And then if you weren't happy with it, you've got, all that time to actually get your money back, which is absolutely awesome. I was like, can't even go to the department store and use something once and take it and get your money back. So it's incredibly generous, and just, I guess, a really great way for people to actually be able to try, a product that's new, and just see what results that they get. And I can honestly say, with my hand on my heart, I've had my business 5.5 years, and I've only ever returned 5 products in 5.5 years. Yeah, I know. Awesome.
It is trial and error, like especially with acne, it can be trial and error, unfortunately. Yeah. Because it's sometimes hard to know what is actually causing it. Like it might be, it might be stemming from gut health and hormonal health, or it might just be a genetic condition. So yeah, unfortunately sometimes it is a little bit of trial and error. But yeah, that's the great thing about the money back guarantee, is that it just takes the risk out of online shopping.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Lili. Always love you sharing your knowledge with everyone. It's fantastic. And I always say I wish I'd met Lili 5-6 years ago when I was having problems with my daughter. But yeah, so really grateful. Thank you, Lili. And thanks everyone for jumping on and watching, and we'll catch you soon. Have a great Saturday night.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lili.